Try to stop doing that in TeamSpeak.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Week 8 of the Big Dogs Racing Late Model Series, brought to you live from GlacierTV, sponsored tonight by Bob's Motorsports at www.bullseye.9f.com. Tonight should be a really good race. These guys have got a pretty good setup underneath them, and we're going to take you to tonight's pole sitter, and first place car starting the evening is Stephen Moore.
Stephen Moore, driver of the 02 InsideSomRacing.tv Chevy.
Dennis Wilder, driver number 4, Lexus.
Brian Holman, driver the number 62, Obama Chevrolet Monte Carlo, Beaufort, Georgia.
Josh McCoy, driver number 7.
Number 32, Robert Thompson, Burtonette, Texas.
Ron Miller, number 60, Down Valley Septic.
Number 51, Donnie Gates from North Canton, Ohio.
Number 42, Chris Perry, Team Naramore Machine Shop, Ford Fusion, Angola, New York.
01, Wayne Williams.
Glenn Eschel, number 92, Ronkonkoma, New York.
Number 53, Gary Moore, Manchester, New Hampshire.
Number 29, Bobby Cannon, Brian Holman Design, Netstream Communications, Winder, Georgia.
Number 18, Stephen Bryan, driving the Sirius XM Chevy from Bridgewater, Massachusetts.
Number 1, Jason, the Brian Holman Goat Farms, number 1, Chevrolet.
Blake Jones, driver of the number 80, Blake Jones Racing Center, Monte Carlo.
Kyle Robinson, Fort Worth, Texas, driver of the Amp Energy, number 56.
And that brings you through tonight's starting lineup. We have 16 of Big Dogs Racing's hottest drivers getting ready to turn it up for everybody here tonight at Richmond International Raceway. Good luck, guys. Have a good race. And joining me tonight in the broadcast booth will be Mark Figueroa and Nick Giles, along with cameraman Phil Diaz. Mark, Nick, this looks like it's going to be one heck of a show tonight. These guys are raring to race. They've had 2 weeks off leading into Week 8 of the broadcast series. We'd like to welcome back Phil as well. What do you guys think about tonight's event, Mark?
Tonight's event's going to be quite interesting. Here at Richmond, there's usually a lot of sheet metal getting torn up here, so I'm expecting to see more of the same as this race goes on.
Nick?
Yeah, I agree with them. I think there will be a little bit of exchange in paint as this thing progresses, but because it's a real driver track, and so if you're not the best wheelman, you'll find yourself either taking out a bunch of cars or eating some concrete. So it ought to be a pretty good show tonight.
A couple details about tonight's race, gentlemen, is these guys have got one reset. That means they can smash this thing to pieces one time and pit, and they're going to get it fixed. After that, they're in big trouble. They're going to have to go with the timer, as well as they've only got a 50% fuel load under the hoods of these things, and that, I don't know, that's going to make this thing tighten up a little bit, and it was already a tight setup, so hopefully they'll be able to wheel these things around and find their good let-off points and acceleration points and have a good race. I don't know.
Yeah, another thing to look at, too, tonight is the points battle. The points battle is getting pretty close here. You got Brian Holman's the leader in the points battle, and Bobby Cannon, who's sitting 30 points behind Brian Holman. He's starting pretty deep in the field, so he's got a lot of room to make up tonight. So it's going to be an interesting.
Another guy we need to keep an eye on is the Stephen Moore in the 02 car. He's a newcomer to Big Dogs, but he's been flying up the points ladder as the pace car pulls off and we get ready to take the green. Nick?
Yeah, it looked like the 4 car got into the 02 there right at the beginning, but that didn't phase old Stevie and as they head off into turn 1.
Everybody back behind Stephen Moore. Looks like they're 2 by 2. Oh, as we got somebody off the wall in the back. hopefully they don't bring the caution out and they're able to save it.
Now the boys in the back are not actually able to get a really good run going for them so far. They went into the first turn 3 wide. So they go 3 wide again. Gary Moore being shown on the outside there. So it's pretty dicey, and there goes the number 92.
Ooh, and the 92 gets turned around by the 18
of
of Steve Bryan. Looks like the 18 just got into the back, old Glenn. You may think Steve Bryan's a little bit rusty. You know, he's been in the broadcast booth the last few weeks, and we'll take a look at the replay. And it looks like, yeah, Steve and Glenn go into the corner, and Steve just washes up into them and gets into the back quarter panel of them. Glenn gets turned around and rolled, and well, that's pretty early to use that 1 reset, guys, and that's exactly what he's going to have to do to continue on.
That's going to be a real bummer for both of those guys. I mean, it's early on in the race. I mean, shoot, you're but 3 laps into the event, you're already using a reset, so you're that much behind the power curve.
These guys got 110 laps tonight. Like we said, 1 reset, 50% fuel load. It should be a pretty exciting race. I would think that these guys would want to spread out a little bit, and they would want to save their junk as long as they can until there's about 20 to go. You know, this Richmond, I don't think the tires fall off dramatically here, but I know there's a big difference once you get past about lap 15 from practicing this setup earlier this week.
Man, I don't know if you guys were able to see that, but Mr. Jason Hogan totally missed his pit box. He had to back up going down pit road, so he's going to be a little bit behind the power curve there. Hopefully he can get out before the pace car.
In familiar fashion, you see old Brian Holman pitting early. Him and Bobby Cannon decide they're going to go in there and they're going to get some new tires, and they're going to play that pit strategy starting out with 3 laps into this thing.
Yeah, like we've said each week, Brian Holman, he takes every advantage he can to come down pit road and get some fresh Dr. Feelgoods and top off that tank on these long green flag runs. They will stay out a little bit further and hopefully capitalize on that. So let's see what happens with tonight's race.
You know, while we're watching these guys go around in circles behind the pace car, let's give a shout out to number 56, Kyle Robinson tonight. He'll be one of our in-race reporters, joined by another in-race reporter for tonight's event will be Ron Miller in the number 60 car. That should be interesting. Whenever we interview Ron, you never know exactly what he's going to say, but you know, he's a ball of fun out there, and he's looking for a really good run tonight. So hopefully we got some good things to talk to him about here.
So far, our in-race reporter, Ron Miller, he's running in 3rd spot. So on this restart, he'll get a good look at the leader. Let's see what he can do with that.
You know, I talked to Ron before the race, and he says Richmond and Martinsville are by far his 2 favorite tracks in the late models in iRacing. And so I do look for him to have a good run tonight. He's got himself a new paint job out there, the Down Valley Septic Miller Lite Racing Chevrolet with that looks like a Canadian oak leaf on the hood. Maybe that's what it is.
Roosevelt goes ahead and lines up behind the pace car 2 by 2, getting ready to drop the green flag here. We'll see what the top 2 boys have got for Ron Miller.
These guys are getting pretty good jumps too. Hopefully Stephen Moore will go a little bit early on this start and get this Bob's Motorsports 110 cracking, get some laps behind him here. As the pace car pulls off, Nick.
And Stephen Moore gets into the gas, and the 4 car of Dennis Wilder is now side by side with the 60 car, and the 60 car gets them clear.
Ron Miller moves up into the 2nd spot tonight. Dennis Wilder in the number 4. He gets back underneath him. He's going to pull the crossover move, and he's going to try to bring the 7 of Josh McCoy with him. Josh McCoy is a newcomer tonight. It's his first race with Big Dogs here in the late model series, and he's had a couple good runs leading up to now to get himself in here. So let's see what he can do tonight.
Well, so far he's run a pretty good race. He's got himself up into the 3rd spot.
Yeah, I noticed he pulled that pass off, and Ron Miller went to look low, and he cut down in front of him there. He wasn't going to give him that same crossover move that got him that position, that's for sure. If you look a little farther back in the field, it looks like right around the 18 of Steve Bryan. Oh, and there's another caution on the track. The 1 car of Jason Hogan is around.
It's going to be the second time number 1 car, Jason Hogan's been involved in an incident tonight. So see if he's able to continue on, or he's going to have to put it in the trailer.
We'll take a look at this replay, and it looks like Steve Bryan's blinking quite a bit. He's running right behind him going into the corner here. And oh, it looks like Steve Bryan gets into the back of his 2nd car of the night. You know, Steve, I guess he is rustier than we thought he was going to be coming out of the broadcast booth. Hopefully it doesn't look like anybody hit anybody there, so they shouldn't be too tore up. Let's hope the timers aren't too evil with them. It's pretty early to start going laps down. As Stephen Moore pulls into the pit road, along with Ron Miller, and I believe that's the number 4 of Dennis Wilder in that Monster Energy car, along with the 32 of Robert Thompson, the 62 of Brian Holman, the 53 of Gary Moore in that Star Motorsports car. Senior Tour Auto Racers, one of our other sponsors on some other races we do here at Big Dogs.
Yeah, and it looks like Chris Perry also came in to get 4 fresh ones. See what he can do with them.
Chris Perry's another member from the broadcast booth that's out there racing tonight and having a good time. He really liked Richmond and came in and offered his services, and we had to let him know, get out there and have some fun tonight, Chris. And hopefully he can get himself a good run and make it as enjoyable as possible for himself.
On this caution here, the number 80 of Blake Jones was given a wave around. He was a lucky dog, first car a lap down, so well, hopefully he can stay on that lead lap, and looks like he's still got a little bit of cosmetic sheet metal damage there on the rear end of his car tonight. Hopefully see if I can get the rest of that fixed up.
You've got to wonder, though, how much cosmetic damage really affects a car here at Richmond. As long as the wheels are pointing straight and you got good rubber on them, I think you can still have a pretty good run here. I don't think aerodynamics are a big factor in this track.
The one thing that I think you're really going to need is that rear spoiler. Keep that rear end down on the ground and help that car get pointed in the right direction. So that's about the only thing you really have to worry about this track.
We're 15 laps into this race, or 14 laps into the race. We've got the 4 of Dennis Wilder heading up the field, followed by the 7 of Josh McCoy. And then the 01 of Wayne Willard. Wayne's had some pretty rough races lately, but he's hoping to turn things around tonight. Followed by one of our in-race reporters in Kyle Robinson in the 56. And then the 29 of Bobby Cannon in the 5th spot.
And 6th, you got the number 51 of Donnie Gates. Followed behind him is the number 60 car, the Down Valley, driven by Ron Miller. And then behind him, you got the number 32 of Robert Thompson. And behind him, you got the 02 of Stephen Moore. And then polishing out our top 10, you got Chris Perry, number 42.
And then in 11th spot, you've got the number 62 of Brian Holman, who we know can make his way up through the field. And then you can't count out the number 53 of Gary Moore, followed by Blake Jones in the 13th spot. We also got Steve Bryan in the 18 as we're going green here.
We've got Glenn Nettersel and Jason Hogan registered laps down already. Jason may be out of the race. He may have loaded that car up already tonight. As we get the 4 of Dennis Wilder gets a huge jump on the field, and he's got a good 2-car length lead there on the 7 of Josh McCoy. They better watch behind him because they've got Bobby Cannon and Wayne Willard. They're going to be itching to get up here and lead some laps as well.
Yeah, you got Ron Miller, they're door-to-door, and Kyle Robinson door-to-door in turn 3 and 4. They get single file. See what they got going on here now.
Well, and if you look right behind them, they've got Superman Stephen Moore in that 02. You know, Stephen, he's been climbing the rankings here at BigDogs rather quickly. And he's behind these 2 in-race reporters. And, you know, he's just looking for a little room to pass. And once he gets it, he should smoke by him.
Yeah, it's still early in the race, so these guys probably should start thinking about clicking off some of these laps and getting some track position. Stephen Moore tries for the inside. Kyle Robinson there for the 6th spot, and he gets it. Now he's looking at the back door of the number 60 car, Ron Miller.
Looks like Robert Thompson and Chris Perry also got by there. And Brian Holman's going to get by Kyle Robinson as well. There might be something wrong with Kyle. His tire strategy may not feel too good for him right now.
Well, we just got a battle of the lead for the lead. Josh McCoy takes the lead from the number 4 car of Dennis Wilder.
So we've got a new leader out there, the number 7 of Josh McCoy, and he starts pulling away just a little bit. We'll see if he can keep pulling away or if the draft is going to help these guys pull back up to him.
You got the 02 of Stephen Moore knocking on the back door, the back bumper of the 60 car, Ron Miller. And he's letting him know he's there, but Ron Miller ain't giving up a spot. He's trying for that 01 of Wayne Willard.
Yeah, Ron's looking for a little fresh air to get around Wayne. And, you know, when Wayne's on, he's on. He's a hard guy to get around. And he's not going to give anything to you. He's going to make you reach out and take it. We'll see if Ron can get that accomplished here.
Well, that 62 car of Brian Holman's having a battle right now with the 29 car. They're battling it out for 7th place here. Or maybe, yeah, it was 8th place as Brian Holman takes that spot from him.
Well, Brian Holman's coming up through the field. You know, we expect that from him every week. Sometimes his pit strategy isn't always the greatest, but then again, you know, last week at Iowa we ran a test race in the trucks, or wherever the heck it was, but he come out of the pits with 2 to go in 8th position. We watched him jump the start and pass 8 guys for the win.
Yeah, and Brian Holman's sporting a new paint job tonight that he's showing his true colors, I guess you could say, tonight on how he feels on the current situation of what's going on.
As we watch, it looks like Stephen Moore has made it up around Ron Miller in that 60 car. Stephen takes that 4th spot, and he's looking low on Wayne Willard for that 3rd spot now.
Josh McCoy might have taken the lead several laps ago, but he's not pulling away from Dennis Wilder in the number 4 car. So we'll see what happens whenever the 02 is able to get back up to the front there.
Yeah, I think Dennis Wilder may have moved over and let Josh go and just told him, you know, hey, I'll let you lead for a while. I don't want to burn my stuff up this early. This is looking like it's going to be a good green run. Everybody's got nice and spread out, and they're able to get by and pick off their spots as the 02 moves on the inside of the 01 of Wayne Willard. Stephen Moore and Ron Miller are both going to take those spots away, so that's going to move Ron Miller and Stephen Moore into the 3rd and 4th spots.
Reeling back to 6th spot, we have the number 32 car of Robert Thompson. Ever since he saw the 62 getting his mirror. It seems like he stepped up his race, and he might capitalize on that battle that's ahead of him with the 02 car.
Well, Robert Thompson, if it looks like a taco and smells like a fish, it must be a tasty dish in that Buzzy's Taco 32 ride.
Yeah, you got to love that sponsor he's got. That's a head turner, that's for sure.
And I tell you, Robert, he can drive too. The guy gets himself on these short tracks, and he's no slouch. He's holding his position there, and he's keeping Brian Holman at bay for now, and he's pulled up on the back bumper of Wayne Willard, and he's going to try to take that 5th spot away from Wayne here shortly.
Yeah, the top 7 cars here have got about a 2-second advantage over the rest of the field, so these 7 cars tonight are the ones that I guess you can be watching for the rest of this race. Yeah, the number 2 car, Stephen Moore, is looking at the back bumper of Dennis Wilder and going into 3 and 4 here, so he's making up some ground.
Well, it looks like Blake Jones has pulled his car into the infield, and he's calling it a night. Stephen Moore gets way up high in that loose stuff. I don't know. That's probably not a preferred, but, oh, they've slowed down.
You got caution on the speedway.
It must have been Blake Jones caught up in that, brought out the caution. I'm not sure exactly what happened. The replay, we'll watch the 18 of Steve Bryan. Looks like he wasn't involved. Whoever it was down low. The 1 car of Jason Hogan's slow. He's in there. 53 of Gary Moore's backed up into the fence. I don't know exactly what caused that. So I guess we're just going to say that we're going to blame this one on Blake Jones. He parked his car, and that's good enough. Looks like Glenn Nettersel in the 92 is going to get a wave by. That'll put Glenn back up on the lead lap. So 33 laps into this race, we've still got 14 cars on the lead lap, as most of the leaders all come down pit road. They're all going to get tires. They're all going to get fuel. They're going to try to unbend some sheet metal. This ought to be interesting. The 01 of Wayne Willard chooses to stay out for some reason.
Probably just wanted to get himself a little track position. There's plenty of time for him to get new rubber. He just wanted to see what it was like to have some clean air, and hopefully that works out for that 01 car.
In that Willard Wrecker Service 01, Wayne's a hard charger, you know. He can hold his own. Get a good look at pit road, and these guys are all taking 4 tires. They're all, who's going to win the race off pit road? It looks like the 60 of Ron Miller. Possibly. Four car seems to be the biggest loser in that exchange going down pit road. He went in second and came out in the 7th position, so I don't know if he needed to take extra fuel or what held Dennis up in the pits. Maybe he had to run to the restroom or get himself something to drink. I don't know, but he dropped back quite a bit of spots there. It looks like Ron Miller's going to win that exchange off pit road, and that's going to put him right behind Wayne Willard in that 01 with brand new tires. And I wouldn't think Wayne's going to stand much of a chance with the field lined up behind him with Ron Miller and Stephen Moore, and followed by Brian Holman and Robert Thompson. That's a pretty tough crowd behind everybody.
Hey, Rob, just going back through our tapes here and looking at the replays, looks like the 01 car, Jason Hogan, came back out onto the track, and in doing so, his car wasn't totally right, and he got a little loose coming out of turn 2 there, and in doing so, he backed it into the inside fence, came out onto the track, and Gary Moore tried to avoid that wreck and got spun up in that, so put that one out on the number 1 car, Jason Hogan.
Looks like the 7 got trapped a lap down there on pit road. He didn't make it out in time, so That's going to move Josh McCoy, who was our race leader, I think, and now he's a lap down on that pit stop. That can't be good. And hey, you know, while we're sitting here, let's give a shout out to our sponsor for tonight, the guys over at Bob's Motorsports at www.bullseye.9f.com. You know, those guys do a lot for our league, and we really appreciate everything they do. And if you're a quarter scale guy and you like to get out there and run those gas-powered RC cars, you need to give Bob's a call. They seem to know what they're doing. They are the biggest leader in the United States in quarter scale production, so going green this time. Wayne Willard gets a good jump. Miller's going to close that gap up right behind him, though. I wouldn't think these tires can keep Wayne up front very long. And nope, and here goes the 60 of Ron Miller's going for that lead right now. And he's followed in by Stephen Moore. And I'm assuming Brian Holman's going to move into that position as well. There goes Brian Holman by him. Robert Thompson's going to move in there, so that's not looking like it was a very good move for Wayne Willard. He started out, and before lap one's even finished, he's from first to fourth.
Yeah, I think Ron Miller's going to have himself a handful of Steve Moore here in a second. Steve Moore sees that lead and gets pretty hungry for it, but you can't count out Holman. That's riding in right behind him as they get side by side.
Yeah, Brian Holman took the inside from Stephen Moore, and he's going to try to get in there underneath Ron Miller as well. He may be able to pull off the pass for the lead here if he can keep underneath him, but
yeah, Brian Holman gets the advantage going into one. He keeps it down on the low side, and Stephen Moore is trying to figure out which line to go with, the high side or the low side.
It looks like Ron Miller's holding his own, but you know, he's got there we go. The 62 is going to squeeze by him, and he's going to pull the 02 up alongside of Ron Miller with him.
That was a nice little slide job.
I wonder if Ron Miller's going to try to cross-up move, but no, don't look like it. And he's going to follow in behind in third place in front of Robert Thompson there.
It's pretty early in the run to be, you know, wearing out your tires, you know, just racing for a position this early. I would think your best bet would be just to pull up behind him and let him roll. You know, as we're into lap 43 of the race, we've got Brian Holman in the 62 currently scored as a leader, followed by the 02 of Stephen Moore. Right behind him is the 60 of Ron Miller. Behind him is the 32 of Robert Thompson. And in the fifth spot, we've got Wayne Willard in the 01.
And right behind him, we've got the 51 of Donnie Gates. In the sixth spot, and the seventh spot, we got number 42 of Chris Perry. And right there with him, we got the number 56 of Kyle Robinson. And right behind him, we got the number 4, the Dennis Wilder. And in the following out our top 10, we got the number 29 of Bobby Cannon.
Yeah, there's a pretty big battle going on for sixth place right now. You got Kyle Robinson, Dennis Wilder, Donnie Gates. They're all battling it out pretty good there for that position. Let's see what happens here. Hopefully they can keep their fenders on.
I noticed that number 7 car of Josh McCoy, he's pulled up into that tangled up mess of cars they've got in that ball there, and he's got a long way to go to get his lap back. He may be best off just to ride and hope for the next caution and be the first car lap down.
Yeah, I was informed by the officials that Josh McCoy was given a black flag for leaving a closed pit. So that's the reason why he scored a lap down.
Yep, that'll do it every time. You got to be on top of your game and be smart about your pit stops, or it's going to get you. You know, they close the pits, and if you leave, it traps you a lap down. These guys are still knotted up back there for that 6th position.
Going back up to the lead, Brian Holman's got about a tenth of a second lead over Steve Moore. Steve Moore's pushing that machine as hard as he can. It looks like he had a little right front damage there.
And that 60 car, Ron Miller, he's doing exactly what we thought he'd do. He's just floating behind these two. He's waiting until they go side by side and start wearing their equipment out, and he may make his move. It looks like those front four guys, you know, they're starting to stretch it out in the field. And, you know, Robert Thompson in that 32, he's following them as well.
These boys look like they've settled down a little bit, and they're starting to click off some of these laps. And as you watch Brian Holman take it down to that yellow line, trying to get that car to turn the corners a little bit better.
I tell you, Brian's the first guy to tell you when a setup's pretty tight and that he don't like it. And for some reason, he's able to wheel them up to the front, so it must not be too bad for him tonight. These guys are pretty much single file.
Yeah, I think that right front damage is affecting the 02 car there, Stephen Moore. He was looking like he was the stout race car when he had the lead, but right behind Brian Holman as we speak.
You see a bunch of smoke from somewhere, but I'm not sure where. As we ride along with old Stephen Moore as he drives behind Brian Holman in that no Obama car.
Got a pretty good battle going on back for, looks like 8th spot. We got the number 56 amp car of Kyle Robinson and the 29 car. They're just continually side by side for the last 3 laps that I've been watching them.
That's Bobby Cannon in that 29, guys. And Bobby Cannon, you know, we've seen him come out and smoke the field in a couple of these races. And it is as though sometimes he's shot out of a cannon, so... You know, maybe he's just playing in the back here and just having a good time because it's early in the race. You know, they've still got 55 laps to go. They're halfway this time.
Bobby Cannon might be picking and choosing his battles, trying to click off as many points as he can on Brian Holman.
Take another look at the front of the field. It looks like Stephen Moore is just going to ride along behind Brian Holman. He's not pushing anything, and I think these guys are thinking, you know, our best bet is to just pull away from this field as much as we can before we start playing with each other and trying to pass each other and wear our stuff out. You know, the field will reel them in pretty fast if they go side by side.
Yeah, something happened to the 18 car of Stephen Bryan. He's sitting in on pit road. Looks like he has some damage. I'm not too sure where that might have come from yet, but I'll see if I can get a report on that.
All right. I don't know. Yeah, Steve, you know, Steve has some rough nights, but a lot of that's his internet connection. You know, he's got that Sirius XM ride, but for some reason the Sirius don't come in real well in his car, and he blinks. And, you know, it's hard not to get into him sometimes, you know, or because you really don't know exactly where he's at. And so, you know, that's going to cause a little bit of mischief out there on the track. But we still let Steve come out here and have a good time. And he does a good job in the booth with us. And hopefully he can get out there and put some more laps down and have a good race.
Yeah, going back into the replay, it looks like coming off of turn 2, he just pushed real hard and didn't want to let off the throttle and nosed it into the corner there, and that's where that right front damage had come from.
As we take a look at the 56 of Kyle Robinson, he's back here playing with Chris Perry, and Glenn Nettersel's pulled up behind him in that Rick Haney calls number 92 ride from Lake Ronkonkoma, New York. Glenn's one of those guys that, you know, he's usually really quiet, and he ain't got much to say in TeamSpeak, but he does his talking out there on the track.
And Glenn's really starting to reel the 56 of Kyle Robinson in, so I would foresee him passing him within the next lap or two.
As he moves low on him right now, yeah, he's going to get by him right here.
Man, Kyle kind of scratches the outside wall coming out of 2 there.
Yeah, that'll slow you down every time.
Yeah, I think Kyle's not really liking this setup. It's really pushing with him tonight. Hopefully he can get this thing figured out.
He's got that new Amp Energy paint job.
Right now, the 53 of Gary Moore is struggling pretty bad. He's pretty close to going a lap down. He's 19.6 seconds back to the leader, and going into turn 3 as also does the leader. So he's hoping for a caution, you know it.
Yeah, we saw Gary, get involved in the last couple cautions, so he could still have a little bit of bent up sheet metal on that car, or the steering wheel may not be aimed the right way for him. And as we got the 51s on pit road of Donnie Gates, he's going to take 4 tires, and you wouldn't think they'd be out of their fuel cycle about now, but you never quite can tell.
We're working lap 64 tonight, so he may be thinking get 4 fresh tires and some gas, and he might be able to make it to the rest of the race.
Yeah, maybe he's got a good sniffer and thinking it's going to go green from here on out. And getting them fresh tires right now might make him some track position back that he's lost throughout the run. As we watch the leaders, they get by the 53 of Gary Moore without any incidents. Gary gets out of the way and lets them go, and Gary's one of them drivers that he's kind of slow and methodical as well. He's not going to give you any problems when he's a lap down. He's going to move over and let you go. And that didn't help Stephen Moore pull up and pass Brian Holman. I was kind of thinking that maybe he would take advantage of that lap down traffic and try to get by him, but he hasn't. Brian Holman's actually pulled off to a little bit of a lead here.
As Wayne Willard goes ahead and he gets 4 fresh tires and tops his tanks off with some go juice, so he's back out on the track, scored 2 laps down in 12th place.
They better hope the caution doesn't come out while they're pitting, because I just counted. And going into the pits and getting 4 tires and however much fuel they're putting on board is putting them 3 laps down. So if the caution would happen to come out right now, that's going to trap everybody from 10th place on back, laps down, and some guys multiple laps down. So.
Yeah, this is a risky track to try to do fuel strategies and short pit people. I don't know if that was their intention, but as the 7 and the 53 get together, they keep it going straight, though.
Gary Moore and Josh McCoy. As we got Stephen Moore's pulled up to the back bumper of Brian Holman, he may be thinking, I can get Brian on these older tires. Holman's going to hang on to it. Brian Holman, he's going to be difficult to get around, just like Stephen Moore. Once you get one of those guys up front, they're hard to get by. As you look, Ron Miller and Robert Thompson, the 60 and the 32, they're still hanging on back there. Nobody's gotten around them. They're still sitting in 3rd and 4th position. So we got Dennis Wilder's moved up behind Robert Thompson in the 5th position. But the 42 and the 92 are out there battling. The 42 of Chris Perry and the 92 of Glenn Nettishall. They're out there having a really good battle for the 7th spot.
So yeah, going back up to the lead, the 02 car's pretty much up on Brian Holman and the 62's bumper as they cross the start-finish line to take lap 74.
Now we gotta, we're looking back at Glenn Nettishall here and Chris Perry. You know, Glenn, he may be taking it completely easy. He burned up his one reset early tonight, so it'd probably be in his best interest just to cruise as long as he possibly can, you know, and hope for another caution to get the field bunched up.
That 62 of Brian Holman, he is just playing it cool, and he's hitting his marks pretty well for having all the pressure by the 02 Stephen Moore on him.
He better, because the first time he misses one of his marks, that 02 is going to get by him, and I think once he does and gets that clean air, he might be able to just pull away.
Yeah, and you know the 02 car is really wanting to put that 62 behind him from what happened in that non-points event last week where Brian pretty much stole the show from the 02, which had been pretty much, from what I understand, the class of the race, that whole race up there till the very end and that caution come out.
Yeah, that was an interesting deal there. Raised a little bit of commotion, but after further review by the admins, it turns out it was a completely legitimate move. You know, maybe not sportsmanlike perhaps, but it was legal. I mean, you know, the green came out and Brian Holman didn't jump until it did, but you know, Stephen Moore's got that in the back of his mind, so I wouldn't expect him to cut Brian too much slack tonight if he gets the opportunity to get by him.
Well, the lap times for these two leaders is just smoking fast. A couple laps ago, it was only .002 as the interval between their lap times, and then .006 again, and then 063 this lap. So it's pretty amazing lap times. They're both consistently clicking off together as Steve Moore puts a little bit more pressure on that 62 car.
You got to wonder, I don't know if Brian Holman knows how to drive out of his mirrors. I think he's driving straight off the nose of the car tonight. I don't know about you, but I you know, tendency to mess up a little bit when somebody's running that hard on me. But he's running super clean lines, and he's keeping them behind him.
And Brian Holman is taking that low line advantage away from Stephen Moore, and he's making sure he keeps that car of his nice and low to the track. We'll see what happens.
Well, they're coming up on a lap car now of Kyle Robinson, number 56. So it'll be interesting to see if Stevie can pull up a little closer on Brian here as they try to put this car a lap down, and maybe he can capitalize and get that position on it.
Now, Kyle Robinson, 23 years old. He's fixing to get married in December as he moves over and lets them both by. And by the way, you know, while we're talking about 23 and getting married in December, I'd like to give a special shout-out to my wife, Danielle. Tomorrow's our 14-year wedding anniversary, and I got to say, it's been a fun 14 years, hon, so thanks. I know you're watching. Got a smile on your face, and we'll talk about that after the race.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of anniversaries, it's mine and my wife Heather Giles' anniversary tonight, 7 years, so only half of what Rob Moore and his wife have done, but hopefully we'll have many more than 7 more to come to catch up to you guys. My wife, she's a real sweetheart and supports me in everything I do. I love you, dear, and happy anniversary.
Well, you know, if we're on here and we're talking for 2 hours at a crack and they're not beating down the door, something must be going okay. So I wish you both the best of luck. I hope the next 7's as good as the first 7. And it's good to hear, Nick. Happy anniversary now.
Yeah, you too, Rob. I appreciate it, bud.
All right, happy anniversary to y'all. And, yeah, mine and my wife's ain't for a few more months yet, and we'll be knocking on 17 this go around, so y'all keep it clicking.
Let's take a rundown of the field here. We are 86 laps into a 110-lap run, sponsored by Bob's Motorsports at www.bullseye.9f.com. Once again, thanks, Bob, and all you guys there at Bob's Motorsports that keep us rocking and rolling here at Big Dogs Racing. We got the leader, Brian Holman, in the number 62, followed closely by Stephen Moore in the 02 in the second position. Followed by them was Robert Thompson in the number 32 in the 3rd position. Followed by Robert Thompson is the number 4 of Dennis Wilder, who's moved himself up into the 4th position. And in the 5th position, and this is the 29 of Bobby Cannon, as we've watched him slowly move forward. And as these guys start hitting pit road, we may want to hold off a little bit, because this running order is going to get all mixed up. These guys are starting their pit strategies. The 60s come in. It looks like everybody from 7th place on back has come into the pits already. And as we watch Brian Holman, he gets by the 53 of Gary Moore, and Stephen Moore gets by him as well. Things are starting to heat up here. These guys are starting to run into a lot of lap traffic.
Yeah, that's what's going to be key, is if Brian Holman can get quickly put a lap car in between him and Stephen Moore, and actually, caution's on the speedway.
The caution is out. Oh, that's going to stir the pot here. That's going to put everybody from the 7th position on back. The 01 of Wayne Willard brings out the caution. We could take a look at the replay and see what happened to Wayne here. Looks like he's just going by the start-finish line into turn 1. What happens? He just drives it into the inside wall. That was kind of strange looking, actually, as we watch Wayne smoke his way around the field. That was weird. He just kind of turned left and never let off. We watch
I know Wayne Willard's had a little bit of connection issues tonight, and who knows, he might have froze up and anticipating turn 1 there and drove it down into turn 1.
We watch the top 3 guys come down pit road. Some of these guys are going to stay out and take their way by with 1 to go. Is Glenn Nettishall. He gets the lucky dog. He's the first car lap down when the caution comes out in that 92. The 32 didn't pit. He hasn't yet anyhow, so I don't know what's going on with Robert Thompson. I mean, there is still 18, 17 laps to go. Should be 15 laps to go when they go green. And we watched, and earlier we saw Wayne Willard lost a whole bunch of positions not pitting and getting tires with everybody else. As Wayne Willard pulls his car up on the ramp, he's probably going to go and take himself a cool shower and get something to drink and go out and meet with the massive amounts of Jason Hogan fans that Wayne follows along with.
Yeah, the 32 car trapped all those people down. But that gave him the lead, and there's only 7 cars on the lead lap, so he doesn't stand to lose a whole lot unless he doesn't keep the car on the track. But obviously, his pit strategy was no pit strategy and stay out, and hope he can bring himself a top 5 finish maybe.
Let's pull down the 60 car and hear about his races. It looks like he might be getting trapped a lap down by the 32. Let's pull Ron Miller down here and see how his race is going. Ron Miller, Rob Moore in the broadcast booth, buddy. How's it going tonight?
Hey, Rob, it's going pretty good. Looks like I pitted a couple laps too early, though.
Yeah, it looks like that 32 is going to stay out and maybe keep you trapped a lap down. That's probably not going to help you at all.
Yeah, I had a pretty good car tonight, too. Thought I might have had a chance, but I don't know. I'm going to need another caution.
Well, let's hope you get that caution, Ron. Good luck tonight. You have had a heck of a run. You were in, the 3rd or 4th position before you pitted, and it looked like you had a strong look at the finish of this race. So we'll get you back out there, and we'll pull Kyle Robinson, the other in-race reporter, down in the 56 ride and see what he has to say for tonight. Good luck, Ron.
All right, thanks, guys.
Good luck, Ron.
Mark, you want to...
Hey, Kyle Robinson, Mark up in the booth. How are you liking tonight's race so far?
Hey Mark, I'm having a blast out here. Sucks. Setups just feel really tight. Not really a big fan of Richmond though, but having a blast out here racing with all these guys is just awesome.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Well, we all wish you good luck tonight, and hopefully you can gain a few more spots there.
Thank you.
15 to go. Good luck, man. If you guys are getting ready to go green, we'll toss you back up in the race room. As we get ready to take the green, the 32 sitting on point, and he gets a good jump. He's followed closely, though, by that 62 and the 02 and the 4 and the 29. Those guys are all hungry. They all want this win. None of them are going to play nice.
Yeah, that Brian Holman, he's taking that inside line advantage away from the 02. So we'll see what happens whenever they get to the 32 of Fuzzy Thompson. As Brian gets the inside advantage going into one.
Looks like they're both going to get by Fuzzy Thompson. He's stuck up on the high side with them older tires.
Yeah, and the 02 car had to back it out there on Brian Holman, so he didn't spin him, but looked like Brian might have got onto the gas a little late there for Stevie.
Let's not count out that number 4, Dennis Wilder, and Bobby Cannon in that 29. You know, Dennis Wilder ran up front earlier tonight. When he was up there, nobody was really challenging him for the lead, so.
Yeah, that 4 car of Dennis Wilder, he's looks like he's got a real good focus on what his game plan is here. He's running in third, and he's running some pretty consistent laps with them 2 leaders. He's hoping they'll mix it up here in a second.
And I have a strange feeling they're going to, as Stephen Moore stays on the back bumper of Brian Holman, and he is not cutting him an inch of slack. And I don't think lap down cars are going to get involved this time, but I mean, heck, you never know.
Yeah, that number 29 car, Bobby Cannon, he's trying to work his way up to the front and mix it up with those 2 leaders, because I'm pretty sure he's got the points championship in the back of his mind, so he don't want Brian Holman to get too many points ahead of him.
Yeah, that 02 car, he's really focused in on the track. He's using up every square inch of this thing, trying to get as much momentum on that lead car as he can.
We watch him.
They come at it too.
He gets right up on the back bumper of Brian. Oh, and the 4 into the wall, and there's going to be a caution on the track. He hit the wall pretty hard, and it looked like somebody got into him a little bit. It was hard to see from here, but yeah, the 4's back there. He's got the caution is out. Looks like the 4 and the 42 get together after the 4 comes off the wall. That's going to stir things up. That's going to put Josh McCoy into the lucky dog position. As we watch closely here, the 4 goes into the corner, and Bobby Cannon's underneath him, and he's giving him plenty of room. Oh, the 4 just gets tight, comes down and clips the front end of the 42, and that could put him out of the race. I mean, I don't know if he's already used his reset or not, but oh, Brian Holman jukes it, and oh, Stephen Moore falls for it. That's odd. As Brian Holman fakes him out going in the pits, there's only going to be 5 to go. 32 goes into the pits as well. That's going to wave the 7 car of Josh McCoy by. That's going to move Ron Miller up into the first car lap down spot. And since these guys aren't going to pit in the front, boy, he's in trouble. I don't know. It's hard to say what kind of tire strategy you can use at this point with I mean, there's going to be, what, 8 cars on the lead lap, so Stephen Moore is probably going to get somewhere in the 9th position, but you know, after last week, it can be done, and I do have a little bit of faith in the fact that Stephen Moore could get a hell of a jump on this start, and he could be up there challenging Brian Holman with 5 to go. We've already seen what new tires does for these guys, so.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Right now, you got the number 1 and number 2 guys in the points battle right now, sitting side by side with each other on a drop of the green flag. So we'll see what happens.
I tell you what, if
Brian
if I was-
Holman said, stole him again.
I tell you what, if I was Bobby Cannon, I may gauge my friendship with Brian Holman on this restart, because this could be, you know, his one and only opportunity tonight to get up there and make up some points on Brian Holman. I mean, if Brian wins it, you know, Bobby finishes second, that's not going to help him in the points at all. As we go through our order here with 5 laps to go, it'll be 4 to go and they go green. We've got in first Brian Holman in the 62. Second position, we're going to have the 29 of Bobby Cannon, followed by, in third position, the 42 of Chris Perry. And we just got, you know, he was just involved in that wreck, and he didn't pit, so you got to wonder if he's got some front-end damage. Followed in fourth by the quiet one, Glenn Netishall. And in fifth is where Stephen Moore is going to come out of the pits.
And in sixth place, you got the number 32 of Robert Thompson, the second car to take tires on this caution. And in seventh spot, you got the number 7 car, Josh McCoy, just got the lucky dog. And first car lap down is the 60 car, Ron Miller, followed behind the number 56 of Kyle Robinson, and behind him in 10th place, number 4 car, Dennis Wilder.
Following closely behind Dennis will be Gary Moore, the first car 2 laps down, followed by Donnie Gates in the 51. And I think they're the last 2 guys on the track. We got Steve Bryan was given an EOL penalty. As you can see him back there, he's blinking quite a bit, so they moved him to the back to get him out of the way for this. These guys are going to
be pulling.
And they're going to have 4 to go, and Brian Holman jumps.
He gets a good restart, and Stevie, he looks like he didn't get the restart that he'd like to on that.
He's not too far
Chris
back
Perry
there with them brand tires.
Chris Perry's blocked him a little bit out of 2. Stephen Moore gets a low line going into 3.
Yeah, you know Brian Holman's liking what he just saw as he got about a second, no, a little over a half second lead on Steve Moore.
I don't know if Stephen Moore's going to be able to make up that much time. Ooh, and he hits
the wall.
That may give Brian Holman this race. I don't know. I was kind of questioning. I think Stephen could have pulled up there until that.
He still has...
Bobby Cannon likes seeing that. Ooh, there's a... Ooh, nice save.
Big ball of cars back there from about the 4th position on back as Brian Holman comes around.
It's a white flag lap.
Yep, it looks like it's going to be smooth sailing for Brian. I don't know. I tell you what, though, I think Stephen Moore could have got him.
Ooh, we got to spin the 7 car.
Ooh, the 7, but he's turned around straight. That's going to cost him, though. We got Brian Holman takes the win, followed closely by Stephen Moore in the 2nd position. Behind him is the 29 of Bobby Cannon. In 4th position is Robert Thompson in the 32 Fuzzy Taco Ride. In the 5th position, we got fellow commentator Chris Perry. The 6th position is Glenn Netishall. 7th position is Josh McCoy. The 8th position is Ron Miller. 9th is Kyle Robinson in the 56. The 10th position will be brought home by Dennis Wilder in the number 4. The 11th position will be Gary Moore in the 53. The 12th position will be the 51 of Donnie Gates. The 13th position will be Steve Bryan, another fellow commentator, in the 18. The 14th position will be Wayne Willard, 23 laps down, followed by Blake Jones in the number 80, 81 laps down, and followed by Jason Hogan in the number 1 car, brings it home in the last position, 96 laps down for tonight's race. As we conclude this race here at Big Dogs Racing, it was a heck of a show these guys put on tonight. I think we should bring down the top 4 finishers and see what all they have to say, along with race admin Gary Moore. As we get waiting for Brian to finish his burnouts here. Yeah, we'll pull him down and interview him. He's probably got a lot to say. Brian Holman, Rob Moore in the booth. Good win, buddy. Way to hold on. We saw Stephen Moore. He had good tires on you, but he got into the wall there with 2 to hang on for the win. Good job, man.
Hey, thank you, man. That was a lot of fun. I typically struggle at Richmond, but I don't know what it was about today, but it was actually running pretty good.
How was it set up? It looked a little bit snug, but you seem to still pull off the win.
Yeah, the setup was actually pretty tight. Basically I didn't take the whole right rear the entire race. I was on the same right rear that I started with, just to try to get it loosened up and try to keep fuel in the back of it and keep some rear end weight just to keep her loosened up a little bit. But yeah, we you know, it's tight, but I think it was tight for everybody, so you know, we just lucked one out here.
Yeah, that was a great race he had there. Good win, and yeah, you were hitting some pretty consistent lap times there after you took that lead. Congratulations, Brian.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, just trying to be consistent, and I knew Steve was fast, especially when he come in and took tires, so I just tried to get a good jump on that last restart and, you know, hopefully get a big enough gap to hold him off. But
Thinking of Steve Moore, we're going to go ahead and conclude our interview with you, Brian. Good win. We'll bring Steve into the booth.
Thank you, guys.
Stephen Moore, Mark in the booth. That was one hellacious race that you ran there with Brian Holman. What do you think about it?
Yeah, that was fun. You know, Brian was fast, but mainly he was consistent. So he got the lead earlier in the race, and we ran 60 or 70 laps nose to tail. And we were both just, I think he was saving this stuff too, and we were just riding it out till the end. And then the first caution towards the end came out, and I beat him off pit road, but I got held up trying to get around, and then he took the lead again. And on that final caution, I pitted hoping a few more people would come, but no, but I got a decent start, but then just pounded the wall off turn 2, and it was done after that.
Yeah, that was unfortunate before you pounded that wall off of 2, but that was a really good, hard-fought battle there between you two guys.
Yeah, he hit all his marks, so getting around him, I couldn't do it without tires, so didn't have much to lose by pitting.
Well, congratulations on your second place finish for tonight's race, and we'll go to Nick with our third place runner-up.
He's got his mic muted right now.
Bobby Cannon, you got your ears on. Third place finisher tonight.
I do.
Yeah, Bobby Cannon, that was one way of ending your night, hanging around in the back of the field for a good while, and then you decided to bring it up to the front and try to capitalize on the points battle between you and Brian Holman.
Yeah, I knew I had to have a good points race, and you know, I didn't have a lick of practice except for the couple laps I turned before I jumped in here, so I knew I wasn't going to be the fastest out there, but as long as I could get a top 5, I figured to keep it tight between me and Brian.
Robert Thompson, you finished 4th place today. How did that number 2 Chevrolet feel to you?
Oh man, you know, I stayed out that last time, tried to get up there in the front and lead a few laps, get a little bonus points. I knew I couldn't get around old Holman, and Stephen Moore, they was just way too fast for me. I was fortunate for that last caution to come out, and and get me some tires so I could pick off a couple more places there for the end.
Well, good race tonight, Fuzzy. We enjoyed watching you have that run. We're going to get back to Bobby Cannon. Looks like we were having a little technical difficulty between the interviewer and getting the word across to Bobby. He couldn't hear his mic working. Bobby, good finish, good run on that third place, number 29 car tonight. Look forward to seeing you the rest of the season. How was your race again, man?
Oh, it was good. You know, like I said, just hung out in the back, just trying to keep it safe and off the walls and everything, so I'd have something there at the end. Thought I was going to have Stephen Moore there when he come off a 2 and tagged the wall pretty hard, but I probably needed another 2 laps to catch him. But all in all, you know, third place, I can't complain. It keeps me in the points up there with Brian, so just take it on next week and see what I can do with it.
Well, hopefully we can get you to finish in front of that 62 Obama Chevrolet a couple times and tighten that points race up for you. And, good run tonight, Bobby. Look forward to seeing you in the weeks to come in that Netstream Chevrolet. Good job. Robert Thompson, like I said, good run tonight. I'm not sure what the next track is, but Richmond was one of your strong points, and you look like you ran a pretty good race tonight, man.
Yeah, I just tried to keep fenders clean on it. Run a race without any incidents. First time I've done that in a good while. So I had a pretty good race there, though.
Good race tonight, Robert. As we bring in tonight's race admin, Gary Moore, for a recap of tonight's events. Gary, how'd the race go from your eyes tonight in the admin booth, and what do we got to look forward to next week?
Well, we'll hopefully put on a good race for everybody. Next week we have off in the point series, so we'll do another all-star race, and in 2 weeks we will be at New Hampshire.
New Hampshire Motor Speedway, flat, fast track. Ought to be interesting to watch you guys out there tying it up in a knot. Good run tonight, Gary. Looks like you got into some damage early, and it looked like you had trouble recovering from it, but you hung in there, you finished the race, you brought yourself home, what was it, 11th place finish, only 2 laps down, so you were able to save something out of it. Good run, bud.
Yeah, it was a rough night, but we prevailed, so hopefully see everybody again next week. And again, thanks, Bob's Motorsports.
As we conclude our show tonight, a special thanks to Phil Diaz from GlacierTV, along with Mark Figueroa and Nick Giles for their efforts in the commentator's booth tonight. Give a big shout out to the guys over at Bob's Motorsports at www.bullseye.9f.com. Be sure to go to their website and check them out. Pretty interesting stuff going on. And also make sure to visit our website at www.bigdogsracing.org for all you iRacing enthusiasts looking to get involved in a good Tuesday night broadcast series. That concludes our show for the night. Have a good one. Peace. We're out.